Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we are really excited to host Tenny with San Francisco Unified School District today. She will give a 5-minute general presentation and then host 10 minutes of Q&A. Candidates, your videos and mics are turned off, and so please submit your questions by using the Q&A feature of Zoom. And I will go ahead and share a variety of resources that Tenny has shared with us for all of you through the chat box here. And so Tenny, again, thank you again for joining us. Could you please begin your presentation by introducing yourself to the group?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Tenny Uba. I am the Senior Analyst overseeing certificated recruitment in the San Francisco Unified School District. So super excited to chat briefly about opportunities that we have this upcoming fall. So thank you for having me. All right, so this first screen that you all see, if you have your phones handy, there is a QR code that you can scan, and this will take you to our SFUSD General Interest Form. This allows you to be up to date about opportunities, recruitment opportunities that are coming up this spring, such as interview events, hiring events with our administrators, and just updates about the general application. So there's also a tiny URL link there. So I just want to leave this up for a second so that folks have time to take a picture of it. It is also in the resources that will be sent out. So here's just the interest form for folks who are interested. All right, so I wanted to talk about very quickly the mission and vision of SFUSD. So the mission of SFUSD is that every day we provide each and every student the quality instruction and equitable support required to thrive in the 21st century. Our vision is that every student who attends SFUSD schools will discover his or their spark, along with a strong sense of self and purpose. Each and every student will graduate from high school ready for college and career and equipped with the skills, capabilities, and dispositions outlined in SFUSD's graduate profile. And the graduate profile is actually embedded within our Vision 2025 document. So that outlines more about the mission and vision of SFUSD and more statistics, more data for you, really good reading material for those who are interested in applying for the district. And I do want to emphasize the mention of college and career readiness, but we are looking for folks who are invested in supporting our students and their holistic needs. So not just the outcomes after they graduate, but how are we supporting our students while they're in the classroom with us and while we are learning alongside our students. So this is our facts at a glance document. So as you can see from the visual, we serve about 136 schools, ranging from pre-K, TK elementary schools, middle school, high schools. We have some county and court schools in the district, as well as continuation schools. And there are a few charter schools that are under our purview, as well as early education centers. And we are serving a student population of about 55,000 students. This is the breakdown of our student demographics, and you can see just how many staff are employed in the district. So we are serving a primarily student of color population in SFUSD. About 24% of our students are English learners. About 12% require special education services and have IEPs. And about 55% of our students are on free and reduced lunch. So we know that there are various socioeconomic differences that our students do navigate within our district. All right, SFUSD, one of the core tenets of our district is supporting and having a solid foundation and understanding of equity and social justice. So we do have this definition of equity that is alongside a definition through the National Equity Project in Oakland. So we work very closely with this organization for our equity work in the district. And SFUSD defines equity as the work of eliminating oppression, ending biases, and ensuring equally high outcomes for all participants through the creation of multicultural, multilingual, multi-ethnic, gender equitable, multiracial, and inclusive practices and conditions, removing the predictability of success or failure that currently correlates with any social or cultural factor. So equity in our district, we know that There are student populations who historically have been underserved and under-resourced within educational and academic institutions. So some of these students include our students of color, just across the board in academia, students who are homeless, our students who are English learners, our students who have disabilities. So there are a lot of students who are underserved in a lot of capacities. And our district has been very explicit naming one specific student group who our academic institutions have historically underserved. And we've named this student population and this group explicitly as our Black students in SFUSD. So we do have an initiative that was put together by our superintendent called the Pitch Initiative. And it's for the purposes of asking ourselves the question, how do we dismantle systemic barriers to equity as it pertains to our Black students? So we can talk more about pitch. It's a long conversation, and there's a lot of layers to just oppression that permeates our academic institutions. So there's more to read on our SFUSD website, as well as our Vision 2025 document. So very quickly, programs and incentives. So there is an attachment here of our salary schedule for the year 2020-21. So new credentialed teachers who are coming in at preliminary status will be starting off at about 63,000 with a BA and BS only. We do have a few equity-based incentives in SFUSD. So our high potential schools are those schools with historically significant or heightened needs. And if you do work in our district and work at one of these high potential schools, currently as it stands, there is a $2,000 stipend. And we are actually negotiating the stipend, so it might be a little bit higher this upcoming year. And we'll let candidates know if that's the case. We also have a $1,000 stipend for candidates who are filling hard to fill subject areas. So it's bilingual and special education positions, specifically multiple subject bilingual positions if you are in one of those areas. And if you do happen to become nationally board certified over the course of your years as an educator, you will receive an increase of $5,000. And you would work with our professional growth and development departments towards becoming nationally board certified. There is also free induction in SFUSD for folks who are at preliminary education status. So that will allow you to clear your credential in 2 years with us under a free CTC approved teacher induction program, which is really awesome. All teachers receive a one-to-one coach in the fall, and we have ample opportunities for professional development and professional learning communities so that you can heighten your skills, not just in content area, but also around equity work and how do you create equitable outcomes for all the students that we serve. We also have an attachment of our benefits summary guide, so I won't go too deep into it, but we do have amazing benefits in the district. And one of my favorites is the employee assistance program. So for folks who are navigating the ups and downs of just the profession and in general, we do have counseling services through EAP that a lot of our staff utilize for various reasons. So definitely take advantage of all the benefits that we have to offer. All right, so the application process. The application for SFUSD can be found on sfusd.edu/jobs. And I know that that is a link that is attached probably in the chat box for you all. So just make sure to read all the instructions. We do require at least 2 references to be submitted through the application itself. And you're welcome to upload any other letters of recommendation to the application. Other things such as short answer responses and uploading your educational and academic history will be important in the application. So just making sure that you get your materials prepared. And once your application is submitted to us, it undergoes screening, and we do read the components of your application. So we ask that folks are thoughtful in how they're responding to the questions. And then once your application is screened with us, then your application becomes visible to site administrators. This is a link for folks who are looking to navigate the recruitment and hiring process, so parts of the application as well as what are the next steps. This is our certificated hiring and support guide for the year 2021. So there's a lot of great resources in there just for folks who are looking to learn more about the district and just how to navigate their own employment search with our district. And right now we are in our internal preference period. So you'll see this timeline. We generally accept applications throughout the year, but for the purposes of fall 2020, we will open our external hiring period March 14th. So that is the official date that we've been given. And if that changes, we will notify candidates. So once March 14th hits, administrators will be able to extend official offers to candidates who are looking for employment in SFUSD and who they've interviewed and want to hire for their positions. So we are currently in that internal preference period. So there might be delays in responses from administrators, and this is reserved for internal applicants, so SFUSD staff who are looking to move school sites. So March 14th is your key date. And here's our contact information. So once again, my name is Tenny Uba. I support candidates in the single subject areas, PPSC and CTE applicants. So my email address is listed here. I also have two colleagues on the recruitment team, Ursula and Gilead. So Ursula Ciataga supports SPED candidates, special education candidates, as well as coaches. And Gilead supports multiple subject bilingual, early education, and world language candidates. So please feel free to reach out to the respective recruiter, depending on what your credential and subject area is. And we would love to chat with you more about opportunities. And the last side, we just have our general recruitment email, so recruiters@sfusd.edu. And any additional questions just about the district, especially, if you end up working at the district and have general questions about salary, benefits, anything like that, teach@sfusd is our general email account for all of our SFUSD inquiries. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. That was my presentation, and would love to answer questions that folks have at this time.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone, thank you again for joining us, and please use the Q&A feature to submit your questions to Tenny. And if you could do that quickly, if you have questions, we just have 3 minutes left with her. Thank you so much for your presentation. I have a question about, actually one came in. So this person said, I apologize if you already addressed this question earlier, but given the CTC's new variable term waiver credential in response to the corona pandemic, will San Francisco USD accept this credential for hiring?
So we are still learning more from the CTC. So any updates that they are able to provide us, we will share out with candidates. As of now, we have not gotten an update about what any stipulations or waiver options are available given the circumstances right now. So I would recommend definitely signing up for our interest form so that we can keep you posted when we do have more information.
Perfect. That was something I was going to ask too. And just to reiterate that, even on our end as institutes of higher education, the CTC just had a meeting last week, but there's no official documents that are out that we can really refer to. So it's all very fluid, and we're all kind of tuning into that.
Exactly.
So Holly, thank you for your question. Tenny, you mentioned about, just very quickly, we have 2 minutes left. You mentioned about professional development opportunities and professional learning opportunities. And I was wondering if you could just kind of expand on that, what those opportunities are.
Absolutely. So professional learning communities, I'll start there. These are groups of educators. So even if it's not educators at a specific school site, who learn their content areas together, who learn about pedagogy and practice together. So within community spaces. So we do have these groups facilitated by folks in our professional growth and development department that educators can participate in. Professional development opportunities, once you start working with our district, we do send out a weekly sort of newsletter to all of our staff members in SFUSD, and it lists all of the professional development opportunities. So some of this might be classroom management, it might be your content specifics, such as how to execute ELA curriculum in the classroom. And then there are opportunities around, restorative practices and positive behavior interventions, as well as some neighboring organizations who are closely affiliated with San Francisco Unified, such as Teachers for Social Justice, the Black Teacher Project, San Francisco Coalition of Essential Small Schools. So we have a lot of partner organizations who are also doing a lot of teacher development work and also host conferences and workshops. So we recommend that educators take advantage of not only the within district opportunities, but also through our partnering organizations as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
time has gone by so quickly, and you
It
gave us
has.
so much great information.
Yes. So please send me an email for anybody who might have questions. I would be happy to answer them and support you throughout the hiring process.
Great. Thank you, Tenny, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, everyone, the time goes by so quickly. Next, we have Altus Schools. And just again, my name is Nori Connor. I'm the Assistant Dean for Outreach and Engagement for APU School of Education. And so we put on these hiring events and provide other opportunities for professional development through our websites and social media resources. And so just thank you again for joining us for APU's virtual hiring fair. And so I'm excited to introduce somebody who I believe Mary, we've known each other for quite a few years now. I feel like you're an old friend.
It's been a few years, yes.
Yeah. So APU has a great relationship with Altus Schools, and we have Mary here with Altus Schools to present, and she'll give a 5-minute general presentation and then host 10 minutes of Q&A. And candidates, I just want to remind you to use the Q&A function of Zoom to submit your questions to Mary. And Mary, let's see, I'm going to share your website and job listings with candidates.
Okay,
and
great.
Then if you could go ahead and begin your presentation just by introducing yourself to the group, that would be great.
Okay, hi. Well, thank you so much for having me. My name is Mary Trueblood-Fall. I'm with Altus Schools HR department. I've been here for, almost 7 years now. Time really goes by fast. We are in a network of public charter schools. We service the areas of Riverside. We have some majority of our locations in San Diego County, North County, San Diego areas. We have some, and we are more of independent study university model. Our students come in a couple days a week for support, go home, work independently, and then come back in again for support. So it very much models that college student schedule. Due to COVID, obviously we're all virtual right now. But I do want to mention that our school has a very high standard for high technology and up-to-date technology with our organization. We have 3D model printers, we have iPads, we have smart boards, 3D model printers, so our students have access to that as well. All of our resource centers have been newly remodeled, so they're all up to date with that. We do offer CalSTRS and PERS retirement. We also offer a very competitive package with our organization. We are normally about 5% higher in all the districts as far as compensation. And we also offer 100% employer paid for benefits. So that includes medical, vision, chiropractic for your entire, your dependents, your spouse. There's nothing that comes out of your check as far as that. We cover 100% of that, which is pretty amazing. Right now, currently, we do have education specialist openings for mild to moderate, also moderate to severe. We're also looking for those credentialed teachers. We have an opening for moderate to severe in our K-5 program with our little kiddos, which we usually fill up in that K-5 program pretty quickly, but we do have an opening for someone that is credentialed in that field. We also have resource center teacher openings in Palm Desert, also in all throughout San Diego County, East County, and North County, San Diego areas. We are also hiring summer substitute teachers right now at this time to service the areas of Palm Desert, Hesperia, and all of San Diego and North County, San Diego areas. Now, those positions are summer only, and those are 40 hours a week, and it starts all the way from May and goes about to mid to end of August. As I mentioned, our positions are virtual at the moment until, until we get past COVID-19 here. And then once we pass that, we can go ahead and transition back into the resource centers when it's safe to do so. So we've been around. Our first charter school was the Charter School of San Diego. We've been around since the early 90s. That was kind of like we call the mothership of it all. It started it all, and now we have our 7 schools. And when you get hired with us here at our schools, we are what we call Altus family. We're a very close-knit group. And yeah, so we're just a great place to work. Like I said, I've been here for 7 years, and we have some exciting opportunities right now listed on EdJoin. So are there any questions that anyone has?
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody that the website and her job listings links are in the chat box. So please feel free to utilize those. I think that's great that you have the opportunities over the summer for our candidates as well.
Yes, we get really impacted in the summer because the surrounding, districts have cut summer school funding. So we normally get a lot of the surplus of those kiddos that either need to catch up on the work or want to go ahead. So we do get, a high enrollment during the summer months.
Great. I'm going to ask you, while we're waiting for some of the Q&A, the questions to be submitted through the Q&A feature, I'm going to ask you just some questions that that pop up a lot in these sessions. Do you hire candidates on intern credentials?
So we do, and we actually have a couple right now. I'll be really upfront. Some of them have started as a teacher's aide with our program and then have gotten recommended and then gone through the process, the interview process with us and been recommended. And as long as we have an MOU with the school and they pass the interview process, then yes. And like I said, we currently have, I think we have 4 interns right now with us.
Great. And do you have any positions, do you hire for school counselors or school psychologists?
So we do have a school psychologist on board. We also have a school social worker. At this time, we just unfortunately don't have any openings for that. But as we continue to grow, as I mentioned, we started with 1 school, now we have 7. I do foresee that in the future, having openings in that field for school psychologists.
Perfect. And you talked about your extensive use and integration of technology into your schools.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also, I can't remember if you touched on this, do you also provide support, professional development for your teachers?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I should have mentioned that during my presentation here. But we do have what we call Altus University, which is where our staff attend virtually or in person. Right now, obviously, it's called the Altus Cloud because we're all virtual now. But it does offer, we do have mandatory professional development and trainings for our teachers. Since our teachers teach across the board, multi-subjects, multi-grades, between 6 to 12 normally is mainly what our teachers teach here. We sometimes have like a math workshop or English workshop, or sometimes it's technology. So we kind of touch on each, different subjects at different times and curriculum and things like that during those developments.
Great.
Meetings. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'm just thinking about this season that we're in with COVID-19 and how interviews are taking place online. What kind of things can our candidates prepare for as they, how can they prepare? What things are you looking for as you conduct these virtual interviews?
Well, I want to first start off to even get the interview, especially with our schools, the number one thing is to take your time on the application. Make sure you're, attaching all the required documents. I get it so many times where, applicants, there's supplemental questions on an application for a reason. And sometimes you won't even pass the screening process if you don't complete that. So just make sure you're taking time on these applications. because that is the first impression that we have of you. And then once you pass that, then we invite you in for that virtual interview. Now, I like to remind all applicants, it is a virtual interview. You're going to treat it as if you were in person. So look as sharp as you can be. If you've got a suit, put it on. Because especially with our school, we have a very high level of professionalism. And not only, are you not only are you selected based on your interview, but also, how professional you present yourself.
That's great. And I know some people have even given a suggestion of, get on the platform with a friend or, to see how you come across, and make sure you, even like jewelry and things, make sure your mic is working properly and not knocking up against earrings or, a necklace.
Right. Right. Right.
To keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and try to keep a plain, plain background or something that's not too distracting.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And so candidates, again, we have about 3 more minutes with Mary. If you have any questions for her, please use the Q&A function to submit your questions. But Mary, can you tell us, maybe you've been with Altus for a few years. Tell us maybe why Altus and why you love it so much, and why our candidates should consider.
Well, I came from a public traditional school. I went through that high school, where I had my history class where I had 50 plus kids in my class alone, and to even talk to my professor was a little difficult at times, trying to schedule, a week out. Sometimes you forget why you scheduled the meeting with them, So I like our model just because we give that one-on-one small group instruction, and every student has their own plan. So it's really individualized learning for each of these students, because we understand that each student learns differently and at different levels. I mean, for me personally, I excelled in every subject except for math. But, I wish I had some more support, with that subject. So having the more one-on-one approach and kind of seeing, even when I attend every graduation that I've gone to each year, just to see some of our graduates go up and speak and through all these obstacles that they have in their life. Some of them come from single family homes, or some of them live with their grandparents, for them to achieve their goals and to be able to go on to higher learning really shows what we do in our program. Because if they were in a more traditional school, they maybe would have had that chance and that more one-on-one attention that they really needed. So for me, that is the most rewarding part of my job, is knowing that I'm helping those students that maybe wouldn't get that opportunity in order, to learn and to grow and to move on to either higher learning, a trade school, or just something to prepare them, for the real world after high school. And I think that we give them those skills to be successful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Well, we thank you for your time. And
thank you so much.
Virtually.
Thank you so much again for inviting me, and feel free to share my email. Our phones, we're kind of answering, virtually, but email is probably the best way to get a hold of me. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, you're welcome to share that with anyone.
Oh, great. Okay. We'll bring that up and post that in our chat box.
Okay,
thanks again, Mary.
Sounds great. Well, stay healthy and well to all of you.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. And now we want to welcome Lake Elsinore Unified School District. We have Richard here with us, representing the district today. And once again, everybody, thank you for joining us for APU's Virtual Educator Hiring Fair. So Richard's with us from Lake Elsinore Unified School District. He will give a 5-minute presentation and then host 10 minutes of Q&A. And so candidates, just once again, a reminder to please use the Q&A feature of Zoom to submit your questions to Richard. And I will list through the chat box Lake Elsinore Unified School District's website and their job listings page for you to reference. And so Richard, thank you again for joining us. Could you please begin your presentation by introducing yourself to the group?
I can. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rich Peterson, and I am the Personnel Director for Lake Elsinore Unified School District. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thanks, Nori. Yeah, my position at Lake Elsinore is just what it says. I'm the person responsible for the certificated hiring. And I'm the person that's out there right now in the midst of all of this craziness in the world that we're in today, trying to find good candidates to fill spots where we still need people on a regular basis. So that being said, I'm here today to talk a little bit about Lake Elsinore and just share who we are. First of all, we're a school district of approximately 21,000 students. We have 14 elementary schools. We have 5 middle schools, 3 regular high schools, and an alternative high school. Excuse me. And we also have kind of an online school. And between all of these together, we have approximately 1,350 teachers. It's a lot of people. We have over 3,000 employees in our district. We've been a school district since the late 1800s. Lake Elsinore's been around for a while. And as you look at the emblem for the school district, you see the 2 trees. That's because in 1988, the elementary district and the high school district kind of came together and became a unified school district. And that kind of pulled us in the direction where we're going. How do we distinguish ourselves in the midst of everybody and everybody else? Well, you have a great number of school districts in the Riverside County area, and we believe that we're just one of the many. We personnel directors and most of the school districts all know each other rather well. We spend a lot of time at the job fairs together this year now that it's virtual. But that being said, we go to conferences together, we communicate with each other, and we're all proud of the districts that we represent. Lake Elsinore, what are some of the things that stand out for us? We are a district that we believe is very proactive, progressive. We're moving ahead. A few years ago, we passed a bond issue that enabled us to take the next steps up in technology. Little did we know that all that great help that we were doing to be able to push the technology was going to take us to the point where we are today, where just about all of the students have been receiving and getting laptops during the process that we're dealing with now, the COVID-19. And during the COVID-19, as of late, all of our teachers have been working really hard, and they're doing virtual online, and it's been keeping us really, really, really busy. We started out with just a sharing several weeks ago, and a bunch of teachers had volunteered to put some information together, and before we knew it, we were back online and working to get everybody their grades to finish the year. That's who we are. That's what we do. We pride ourselves on service. We pride ourselves on kindness. We believe that we're a very family-centered community. As far as where we are from San Diego, it's an hour and a half up the road. We're 45 minutes from the ocean, and an hour and a half from the mountains. We're in a good spot right in the middle of everything. And we just believe we're a good growing community. If you drive up and down the 15 freeway between the 91 and Temecula, you'll see nothing but subdivisions and shopping centers and malls and things like that growing. That's because that whole area itself has been growing. We're actually getting ready to open a new elementary school this coming fall. That being said, we're also now into a kind of a tough time. And I know it's probably rough on all of you as you job hunt and you're looking for positions. We do have several positions right now. And if you leave this screen up right here, this is our certificated recruitment board. And basically, this is the jobs that we're currently flying in the district. We have a lot of jobs that we're flying. What you're looking at is very, very generic. But what I can share with you is we have some special needs that we still are looking for. We have needs in science, biology, chemistry. In fact, at one of our high schools, I just got off the phone. We're getting ready to move on that school. We're going to have biology and bio/chemistry positions available, 2, maybe 3 positions coming up in the next few weeks. So my advice would be to get online and apply now. There is a a pool that's being flown for those positions, and the pool is being flown as bio and chemistry. And what will happen is if you apply online through EdJoin, it will review your application, and they will be screened for certification and credentialing, and that will take you to the next step where potentially you would get an interview with the school. We also need math teachers. We need a handful of math teachers, single subject, whether it's full single subject credential or foundational. Those positions, there's a handful of those that are going to be needed. Computers, English, we have a couple of English positions now at the high schools. Art/ceramics/ different types of, of art class. We have a few of those positions available. And then last but not least, at the middle school level and elementary, we have a music and music/band position. So if those are areas that are interesting to you, I would really ask that you probably want to jump online for the Lake Elsinore School District and EdJoin and apply in the pool. Special education, speech and learning pathologists, we have a position or two available. We also have ed specialists, mild mod severe, elementary, secondary positions. I know in one of our schools I'm actually looking at right now, I see 3 positions. So I have a vacancy list right now with lots of positions available in the school district, and all it's going to take right now is for the opportunity for people to jump on and apply. How are we going to do it? Just like we're doing here, we're going to do a Zoom. So I just want to make sure that all of you know that we'll be reaching out to you after we screen your applications via a Zoom interview. And as I heard a little bit with the school district before me, excuse me, it's very important that your Zoom interview, you come across as professional as possible. I'm actually excited about Zoom because it gives me an opportunity to see people and talk to people that might not be able to get to the interviews when it's face-to-face. And I tell you what, these Zooms usually work pretty good related to that. So with that being said, that was my presentation. You're taking a look now at salary scale based on January 2020. Notice there's an intern salary scale up there for the first 3 years if you're currently in an intern working on your preliminary credential. And then it takes you right down through all the different salary scales all the way down through the maximum amount. Some of the positions like SLPs, there's bonuses that come with those and signing bonuses, but that's all part of the teacher's agreement, and it's called Letter to the Lake Elsinore Teachers Association. And that's all part of the full agreement that we represent. So when you look at the salaries, this is the salaries. One of the things we pride ourselves on is we are now giving credit for up to 12 years of teaching experience, and then we'll start people with anything more than 12 years, we'll start them on step 13. So in the past, a lot of school districts in the area were usually only going up to 5, 6, or 7 years. But it's been a tough situation for a lot of school districts, and so they kind of upped the ante a little bit, and they've raised their salary at entry for people that do have a lot of years experience in it, 12 years, and they'll start you on 13. Questions?
Great. Yes, we do have a few questions. Thanks so much for your presentation. One attendee asked, do you have any openings for elementary teaching positions?
As of right now, we probably will, and those usually happen probably more in June, the end of May and in June this year. And here's why. We currently have a new school that we're opening, and a lot of the teachers are transferring from other sites into the new school setting. What that means is a domino effect starts, and we have to fly it first to our teachers in the district. So some teachers will move from one school to another, then their positions will have to be flown. And then once that happens and they fill a position, then another position has to be. By the time the dominoes are set, it oftentimes falls upon our needs to reach out to all of you. So I would suggest that you do get online and you fill out for a multiple subject. I saw that one person asked me about an induction program. Yes. We do have induction, and the school district pays for it. We actually will choose a coach for you if you're hired, so that during the 2-year process, while you're working on that clear credential, we'll be able to pay for your induction. We work with RCOE, and we pay them approximately $2,000 a year. Plus, we pay our coaches $2,000 a year, so we take care of the cost factors for you. So that's kind of important to us. I see, do you have any school counselor openings? At the moment, I do not see it, but that does not necessarily mean there won't be one coming up. So I just want you to, what you want to do is stay online and check weekly through EdJoin to make sure that that position is going to become available. The middle school teachers in your charter schools have to teach multiple subjects like social studies. You know, I don't work with the charter schools. I'll be honest with you. The charter schools are independent, but they work within our district. But that would be somewhere where you would contact them directly. And then I see another question from Sunny. Do you think it might be probable that you'd need a school counselor? Okay. I see it, and I'm not sure exactly who, what, when, where, how, and why, but we did hire a couple of counselors last year, and between now and the end of the school year, and in June and July, things will change and things will become available. We all know that it's a really, really difficult situation. It's very hard for the district right now to be able to determine, unfortunately, and I'm sure this is the same in most districts. We have to keep track and watch where our numbers are. In public education, a lot of it's set on your student enrollment, and we have to be aware of where our student enrollment is before we're allowed to really make those final decisions. So we're trying. It's a really difficult year for you folks that are interviewing, but we are going to do our best. And I'm going to be the person staying online trying to hire as many people as I possibly can. More questions?
So we have 3 more minutes left for questions, and there's 2 up here. One is, when you fly jobs, how long are they typically posted?
Well, all our positions, we have to fly by contract internally for the first 5 days. Then we reach out and we fly them district-wide, so that teachers in the district have an opportunity to apply for them. Usually the positions are flown for approximately 10 days when they're flown through EdJoin. So my advice would be to become a weekly stop-by search on EdJoin for the Lake Elsinore Unified School District and check us out and see what positions are flying at that time. It's one of the questions was, will you be accepting any fieldwork interns for counseling? Yes, we do. Through your university, we work with the universities. In fact, several of our schools really appreciate and enjoy having folks coming in and working with them while you're finishing up your credential. Middle school teachers in the charter schools teach multiple subjects, asking that.
Sunny just kind of clarified her question of what I mean. I realize funding and capacity is a challenge, but just curious if Lake Elsinore typically hires elementary counselors or only middle and high school counselors. Thank you.
Quite honestly, it's mostly middle and high school counselors. If I was to say that, in my experience, I've been there for 5 years, and typically those are the positions that become available.
Okay.
Other questions?
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, thank you everybody for your questions. That was really helpful. And Rich, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you being here. We love partnering with Lake Elsinore, and just appreciate you.
And we appreciate you, and we appreciate all your student teachers, and we appreciate the fact that you'll give us a look and let's see what happens. I wish everybody well and nothing but success in the midst of all this. Safety and health to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a great afternoon.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Okay, next we have Sheila with Springs Charter Schools, and I'm actually leaving this question from Diana up in our Q&A because I wasn't sure if this was meant for Sheila because Springs is charter schools. So I was going to leave that up there for Sheila. But thank you everyone for joining us once again. If you're just tuning in, my name is Nori Connor. I'm the Assistant Dean for Outreach and Engagement for APU School of Education. And so today, or right now, we're excited to host Sheila from Springs Charter Schools, and she will give a 5-minute general presentation and then host 10 minutes of Q&A. And so candidates, if this is your first time here, I just want to remind you to use the Q&A function in Zoom to submit your questions to our presenter. And I will take a moment and post the links that Sheila, that you have shared regarding your website and job listings page with our candidates. And thank you again for joining us. Could you please begin your presentation by introducing yourself to the group?
Absolutely. First off, can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. First off, thank you. Welcome to the Springs Charter Schools virtual career fair booth. My name is Sheila Erlop. I'm the HR specialist for recruitment and hiring at Springs Charter Schools. I've been with them 5 years. You've got the presentation hopefully in front of you with the, oh, there you go, with the bullet points. And it also, we've got 3 pages there. You got the bullet points and then our core values and a location map, because I think that often will help people who may be interested in other counties or may not be familiar with Springs. The items that you see listed there, I'm not going to go bullet by bullet for them. They came directly from our founder and superintendent, Dr. Kathleen Hermsmeyer, and also from our Senior Director of Education, Catherine Pangel. I want to talk a little bit to you about what Springs is. You'll see there we're in Los Angeles, San Bernardino, San Diego, Orange County, LA County. We're WASC accredited K through 12. We are the largest charter school in Southern California. We've got about 8,500 students with 50% or more classroom based, and the other are in homeschool, some sort of variety of homeschool. We really are about choices for parents, for students, and for teachers. We are not a cookie cutter school. If you're wanting to have an opportunity to develop curriculum, if you're wanting to personalize the learning to fit the kids, this is a great place for you. All of our sites have different little emphasis on things. We've got a location down in Chula Vista that if you're in San Diego or you're interested in San Diego, it's an arts and music academy. So they're always integrating that into the learning. We've got a location in Riverside, the Flaybaugh Airport Academy, and they've got a real solid focus on engineering and all the stuff to do with the sciences. We've got a dual immersion program down in Vista. So we really tailor it to the community, and the principals look for folks that have an interest in the broader goal of their site. We do list all of our postings on EdJoin. We currently have our teacher eligibility pool up now for the teachers K through pre-K or TK through 12. What we do with the pool is we're going to go through there, and you're going to have a chance to tell us your credential. Then we'll schedule you for a virtual interview and assessment if you have the credential. If you're interested in a homeschool position, like you think that would be a fit, the teacher eligibility pool really isn't the place to apply for that. That's going to have a separate posting. I can tell you that all of our homeschool teachers must have a clear credential. It can be single subject or it can be multiple subject. We pay for those of you who are just getting started, we do pay for induction. You are part of the CalSTRS retirement system. We don't have contracts or unions. So that answers, if the question comes up about how many positions we may have available, even aside from the COVID-19 scenario, we don't always know till the end of the year as our principals start to figure out between enrollment and between people changing careers or changing sites. Let's see. We are a publicly funded school. That means that we do take all students. We have a very robust SPED population. We are getting ready to post a large number of SPED positions here probably in the next week or so. For those of you who would be teaching elementary, all of our classes at that level have what is called the assistant classroom educator, which is quite often somebody who's on a path to become a teacher, and that is separate from, let's say, a SPED instructional aid. This person, the ACE that we call them, works hand in hand with the teacher, and so we offer our teachers a lot of support. Is there any, I see there's a couple of questions. Are they for me or were they for the previous presenter?
They're actually for you. I can read them to you. One says, with the current situation, will interns be given consideration?
It's going to depend on the university and if we have an MOU with the university.
And so with Azusa Pacific University, I believe
we have an MOU with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, yes, they would be given consideration. Absolutely.
Perfect. And so does Springs Charter Schools follow the history social science framework in its personalized learning model?
Well, I apologize. I'm not a teacher, so I don't necessarily talk teacher. We do follow all the guidelines from the state and from that. So I can't answer that. I can tell you, and this is something that teachers are doing differently at our school, is a couple of years ago, they switched to mastery-based learning. So it's not just about grading to the test. I'm sorry, I can't answer your question exactly.
Okay, thank you. We have a couple questions about school counselors. The first one says, may we have your contact information, and do you foresee Springs hiring any school counselors this coming year? And the other position is the same. Does your school have school counselors, and are you hiring?
Okay, couple of things. Do me a favor, leave the map on, because I want to talk to this in a second. We do have school counselors, and much like everyone else, it's going to be on a need of turnover. We had a couple of sites open, so I would assume that they're going to need a counselor. I haven't heard from that department yet. So I know, as you know, I haven't heard for sure from them, but I assume so because we usually do. And before we get to the next question, thank you for putting up the map. With the number of locations that we have, and if you go to our website, it can get very confusing. So I want to break this down a little bit because there are a lot of teaching opportunities at Springs. Every one of those sites that's a student center will also host what's called a learning center. Now, some of the learning centers are based separately, like in Temecula, but we offer our homeschool students an opportunity for the ones who want to come in and take 2-day classes a week to learn for English, for maybe things that the parents don't want to teach, or perhaps elective courses. That's a good way for some folks to get into our organization. They find that they can maybe be a learning center teacher and then move into a regular, what we call an academy teacher. My contact information, before I forget, is if you could just email apply, APPLY, at springscs.org.
Did I type that correctly? It's in our chat box. Apply at Springs.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect. They all go there, and that way, if I'm out for some reason, or especially now, we've got a couple of us that are checking that. Other questions?
How does that work for special education with respect to online and center?
And that's a challenge, but we are required, and we do meet all the IEP needs, all the items stated in an IEP. That means our SPED teachers quite often are going out to places, to multiple locations. I mean, we hired SPED teachers last year that might have serviced, let's look in the Temecula Valley. They might have gone to the iShine Student Center in Temecula and then over to the Temecula Student Center. We try not to stretch people too far because we know people get tired of driving. So we keep it really located to where you're located. So we're not just trying to meet the needs of the student, but we have the same process as a regular school with regards to SPED and IEP.
That was a great question. Thank you. And our attendee thanks you for addressing that. We have 4 more minutes left with Sheila, and we're just really grateful for your time. And it's just amazing how many centers and places that you have across Southern California. And so if you have questions, please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit those. In the meantime, I was wondering about, does your organization provide opportunities for professional development and growth for your teachers?
We do. In fact, and that is one of the hallmarks of our founder and superintendent. In fact, we have many people who've come up from being a teacher to become a principal. Again, I apologize. I don't know exactly how that looks day to day. If you go back to that, I know that that they have in service, they have days where they have just there for training. And I really don't participate in what education does with that piece. But yes, there is plenty of development. In fact, I look at what we do for the teachers in our school, and I'm impressed with what they learn constantly and what they achieve.
That's wonderful. Thank you. We have 2 more questions in our 3 minutes remaining. But what would a homeschool teacher's responsibilities be?
Homeschool teacher is going to be more of a compliance person. They are going to make sure that the parent is working and doing the things that are required. They're not just putting their kid in front of a video, or they're not just doing housework to qualify for something. So if you like being in front of a classroom, if you like that aspect, that is not the homeschool teacher. You're going to be working one-on-one. You could be going to their house. Oftentimes our homeschool teachers meet at a separate location. It really depends on the relationship that gets developed between the homeschool teacher and the parents and the needs of the parents. And then what happens with the homeschool teachers, you have support from an administrative level with a compliance technician who will work with you to say, yes, let the parent know this is going to be fine, or no, can you go back and talk to them that we need a little bit more substance in the program that the parent is doing.
Great, thank you. And then our last question is, what is the pay range for a Learning Center instructor?
The Learning Center pay will be based off of the credential, and it is the same structure, and you can go to our website and go to apply, and all the different salary structures are there. The times that it can change is sometimes we bring on people who are interns or not 100% credential, so then they would be hourly based. And I do not know yet what the board has approved for the 2021 salary yet.
Okay, thank you. And if you don't mind, one more question popped up.
Mhm.
And they asked if homeschool positions are also posted through EdJoin.
Absolutely, and I expect to see those up. Pretty quickly.
Great. Okay, well, I just want to be mindful of your time, and we've reached our time limit, and we're just so grateful again for you and for Springs Charter Schools and the work that you do. So thank you again for joining us and for sharing about your great organization and schools. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
You too, and thank you for having this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And attendees, thank you again for joining us. I just want to remind you again that we do have resources. I'm going to post this right now, but on this website, we post upcoming hiring fairs, not even necessarily that APU is hosting, but other hiring fairs that we're made aware of. And so those are happening online, in this environment as we move out of COVID and social distancing, there might be some face-to-face opportunities. And so just check back on that website for both professional development and career opportunities. Okay. And also the other thing is, if you're not already, make sure that you sign up on APU's Handshake platform to see listings that are posted specifically for APU students. So thank you again for joining us. This is our last session of the virtual hiring fair, and we're just really grateful for your participation. So thank you and have a great afternoon.